Hi, it's that time of the month again, last day, 28th of February. So let's look at the books that I read in the second half of this month. I started with one from NetGalley, and it was a digital book, and it was Lady Macbeth, and it comes out on the 8th of the 2nd of March. This takes the premise of looking at the life of the queen that was the inspiration for Lady Macbeth, Gruach, and it follows her from her childhood in Fife and sort of follows her up until the beginning of the Shakespeare play. I like the idea. I like the idea of looking at these characters and breathing life into them. And I like the idea of the link with bits of language, bits of text that link back to the play. But I was disappointed because I did not like the character. I wanted more of the Lady Macbeth of the Shakespeare play. I wanted more of that fight, that fire, and I just didn't find it in Gruach. So for me, that was a disappointing one. Then the next one I read was this, and it was terrific. It's a magical retelling of Russian folklore, and it's the legend of Maria Morevna and Koshchei the Deathless. And what the author's done is she's taken it to Russia in 1920s to 1940s. We've got the siege of Leningrad. And in folklore, Koshchei kidnaps Maria, and Ivan rescues her. But here, Maria and Koshchei have a passionate love, and Ivan stumbles into the magical kingdom. It's a story of love and death and war, and I found it magical. And there are elements of here, you've got the repetition of fairy tales. It's sexy, it's harrowing, it's heartbreaking, and I thought this was an absolutely terrific read. Then I started reading books off the Carnegie Longlist, which was announced this month. And this is a prize for young adult fiction. So I've got 4 that I've read so far. And the first one is Green Rising, which is a climate change thriller by Lauren James. It's set in a time that's possibly not too far away. The Earth is in danger and billionaires are planning to relocate to Mars. And we've got teenagers all over the world who can suddenly find, suddenly find that they can grow plants from their bodies. I'm just going to have a drink. I've got a bit of a frog. It always happens when I'm videoing, doesn't it, that I end up getting a cough. Anyway, they can grow plants from their fingers. They can grow plants from their bodies. And Gabrielle is the first one, and she becomes an activist for climate change. Theo, whose father's a fisherman, he can do this as well. And then Hester, whose father is the CEO of a huge oil company. And she wants to set up this group of green fingers, these people who can grow plants, as a way of reversing the damage that is being caused to the plant. It's a very thoughtful novel, and it champions those who are standing up for what they believe in. And it's a thriller because can these teenagers pull off a green rising? The next one was described as Gaiman-esque, The Worlds We Leave Behind by A.F. Harold. And this is about friendship, revenge and forgiveness. You've got 2 best friends, Hector, or Hex, and Tomo. And they've been friends for years, and then they go off into the woods and there's an incident, and Hex meets a woman in a clearing that he's never seen before, in a cottage he's never seen before, and she offers him the chance to get rid of all the people that are being horrible to him, that are blaming him for this incident, to remove all those people from the world. What he doesn't know is that somebody else has always also been offered the same deal. So when his best friend Tomo wakes up the next morning, he finds that everything has changed, and he's got a slight memory of this boy called Hex, but this boy called Hex doesn't exist anymore. There's an eerie quality to this book, and it's a story facing up to consequences, facing up to what you've done. Fairy tale darkness. That's what this one was about. Then the next one was another NetGalley ARC, and this is a chilling debut by Josh Silver. It comes out on the 17th of February, and it's called Happy Head. And there's a pandemic of unhappiness amongst teenagers. So a group of specially selected teenagers are sent to this radical retreat to learn how to be happy. Our narrator Seb, who feels that nobody likes him. He's not a terrible person, he just feels that he's totally unlikable. And he's drawn to Finn, who is the stereotype bad lad, doesn't like authority, anything like that. And he feels that while these challenges are going on at this retreat, there's a sense of unease because nothing's quite what it seems. The challenges are getting more and more dangerous, and there's there's a deeper meaning behind this retreat, and you've got the idea of eugenics that comes into this as well. A really chilling debut, and it looks as though it's going to be the first of either a duology or a trilogy. Then back to the Carnegie list, and we've got Wrath by Marcus Sedgwick, which is about teenagers coming out of lockdown. Again, it touches on climate change. We've got Fitz, whose best friend Cassie believes she can hear a sound that's the earth in distress. She can hear her humming. And this started when she was in lockdown, when she was locked away from everybody else in a house where her parents were constantly fighting. And she disappears, she vanishes. And Fitz is determined to find her. And that is a novel about friendship and love and trying to escape from the things that hurt. Then this was a really good one. Jason Cockcroft's Running with Horses. His previous book, We Were Wolves, was on the Carnegie long list last year, and I didn't realise until I picked this one up that this is the same narrator. We've still got the same narrator. It almost follows on from the first book, but you don't need to have read the first book. A narrator who's nicknamed Rabbit, he's on a caravan park with his mum, who's the manager, and he's got a best friend Joe there. And everything is fine until Joe's stepbrother Billy comes back from prison, and then events take a nasty turn. Joe takes Rabbit to a hole in the ground where Billy and his mates have thrown this man who's going to grass them up, who's going to report them. And Rabbit makes a decision that sets off all sorts of wheels in motion, and there's a sense of fear and tension throughout this book. There is violence in here as well. I thought it was a terrific read. It was really, really good. And then the final one of the month was this one, The Silver Chain by Gian Shibani. And this is a novel in verse, and it's illustrated all the way through with musical notes. And it's about Azida, who's a musical prodigy. She's got a scholarship to an elite school because she's this violinist. But she's embarrassed because her dad's an electrician, and they can't compete with all the girls with their 4x4s and their Mercedes and their sparkling cars and their loads of money. But she's got a best friend, Phoebe, and they are very close, although things do hit a rough patch. And music is her life. She loves her music. And her mum has a mental illness, and her mum is heading for a breakdown. And for a while, Azada almost withdraws. She stops playing music, she withdraws from her friends, and then she finds that music is the healer. It's a lovely book, and the poetry, I love books in verse because the conciseness of the language can really encapsulate emotions. And the way this is written, you've got all sorts of styles of poetry. You've got different forms, the way she plays with words on the page. It is a lovely book, and it emphasises the importance of music, particularly with all the illustrations, with the musical notes and the staves. The importance of music in her life and how it can also be healing. So that was a really mixed bag of books for the second half of the month. For the whole month, I've only had one 5-star. So my book of the month has to be my book for the first half of the month, and that was Cuddy by Benjamin Myers, which comes out next month. So my book of February is Cuddy, set in Durham, and that's where I'm off to next month as well. So happy reading, have a brilliant March, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.